Blah, 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 blah. You Monday morning, blah, blah, blah. You got the Monday morning, blah, blah, blah.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Oh, I hate Mondays. I really hate Mondays. But it is damn good coffee and hot. Good morning, folks. Monday, February 27th, 2023. The month of February is just about over. Kind of a tease, February, isn't it? Makes you think, wow, that month went fast. And then March hits and winter lingers on. And it's a long month, just 3 days longer. But that's a lot. 2 days long, right? No, 3 days longer. I'm sorry. I'm confused. I'm always confused. John Pavaramo is scheduled to be here, which is really, really early for him. Asking him to get up to do this show is like asking a normal person, not that he's not a normal person, but a normal person, to get up at 4 a.m. to do a dopey little podcast, radio wannabe show. So if he shows, I'll be grateful. The reason he might show, I asked him to come on because he's got this thing going on this week, a 24-hour marathon live stream featuring some pretty cool people for MS is the cause, multiple sclerosis, ending MS. Good cause. Will be Wednesday night, 9 p.m. to Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, with a lot of cool people on it. Some of the people have been on my program. Some people have shunned my program. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, Scott Adams is on my mind. Man, this guy. This is not my kind of guy. If you're not familiar with Scott Adams, he's the author, the creator, the cartoonist behind Dilbert. And to me, like, this job of just creating badly drawn cartoons for newspapers, it's still a thing, a vocation in 2023. That's mind-blowing. People are making money just by doodling stupid little things to put in products that nobody buys. Do you get a newspaper? I know there are some people out there, some people in my world who still get newspapers. I don't think I have. Literally, for 25 years or more, had a newspaper subscription. Now, not to say I haven't had a single newspaper in 25 years. Not something I do on a regular basis. I can't remember the last time I bought one. And I certainly can't remember the last time I had a subscription to any. So here you have this cartoon guy who has a certain level of fame that I can't figure out why. And he has a morning show called Coffee with Scott, which really pisses me off, at 10 a.m. Eastern every day. And last week on his live stream, he came out and said some really racist things. And he doesn't seem to have a clue about what he said that was actually racist. And he's asking people to look at the context of what he said. I looked at all the context and listened to all the text of what he said. And none of it negates the racist stuff that he said. Then he went on an interview with Hotep Jesus, a black man who agrees with him on some of his points, and he feels that vindicates him that he's not a racist. Now, he comes out and he wants you to know that his whole life he's considered himself a leftist, and he considers himself left of Bernie Sanders, which is a cop-out. To say that people on the left can't be racist. Look at, Robert Byrd. Do I need a better example of somebody on the left who was an out and out racist. There are plenty of people on the left who are actually racist. But that's his claim and that's his out. Oh, well, he's a leftist. He can't be racist. Come on, man. What he said, what makes me absolutely sure that he has racial hatred in his heart and fear based racial hatred is that because black people are beating up white people at record rates, we can't fix racism. White people, you just have to escape the black people. Get away from them. That's my advice to you. That's what he said. So no matter how he tries to rationalize that in, oh, I would say that to black people to get away from white people too. He's he wants to make this and the conversation with Hotep Jesus was all about teachers unions being the problem. The all-powerful teachers unions that have teachers making what people who flip burgers make. The all-powerful teachers union keeping us down, perpetuating racism to make white people feel bad. His premise was it's okay to be white. Here's the thing. He's blaming the media for putting out this idea that it's not okay to be white. Media has never ever I've never heard that message come out once that it's not okay to be white. Nobody is saying that. If you're hearing that message, that's your own paranoia. There is no denying that black people in America have had a unique struggle, and some white people had a lot to do with that. If you hear that as white people are bad, that's on you. That's your own paranoia. Anyway, I'm going to let John in the room right now so he can um, pull me back off the ledge with this stuff because um, we hear this stuff all the time, and now this guy is trying to play the victim of cancel culture here. At the same time, he's saying, "I knew this would be the result." Well, if you knew that would be the result, then shut up and accept the consequences. Not cancel culture; it's consequence culture. The consequence you have the right to free speech to say what you want, and then you have to face the consequences for saying the things you wanted to say. Anyway, Wednesday night to Thursday night, 24 hours straight of some cool people raising money for a very good cause, and a guy who got up early to help me let you know about it way earlier than he would is here now. The fabulous turkey bacon eating John Public.
What's going on, man? It's been a long time. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you? I have to ask, do you sleep with a different woman every single night?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I'm
Uh,
happy that you do because I would if I were you. I'm looking at you. I'm like,
no, I
got
don't do that.
the prime of his life. His hair's not turning gray. He's still got all his hair. He's big shot comedy, funny guy. He's living the life, living the dream. Why would not you be just like fornicating like a bastard, knowing that the world is coming to an end anyway?
Dude, you're right in my wheelhouse. I'm trying to do that kind of shit. I've been very, very fucking busy lately. I was just talking to a friend about this, about just dating and stuff like that, because I'm obviously single. But like it's just when you're in your fucking 30s and you are busy and you are doing shit, like I don't know how people meet anybody anymore other than like randomly. You know what I mean? If I'm on the road or stuff like that, or like if I'm out with friends, maybe, but like I don't know, it's not the same. It's
They
not the
don't just
same.
come up to you. They don't just throw themselves at you. I imagine the life of a young man.
Yeah. It's a good imagination, but I'm also I'm a comedian. Comedians don't get anything. Like the worst bassist in the world gets more pussy than a comic, you know?
I
Can't
am
I
under
get
the
the internet
impression
now,
that a
right?
sense of humor is the greatest aphrodisiac. I've been told that my whole life.
It totally is,
Everything
but
like
look at like it's not like women were throwing themselves at Don Rickles, you know what I mean? He's fucking hilarious. you know. But I mean, they say that. But have you ever noticed though? Have you ever noticed that women always do that about like really, really good looking, like we've met them, really good looking dudes, and they're like, oh my god, he's so funny. And then like you with them for an hour, and you're like, this motherfucker has not said one funny thing
Right, never.
this whole time.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I feel like for the most part, women kind of imagine who they think. I mean, like obviously, it doesn't hurt me at all to be funny, but you know, it's just I'm just busy, man. I can't. I don't have time sometimes. You know. I'm
Yeah.
also like I'm 38. I'm tired, and I find that my friends and I literally just went away on we usually go to like the Poconos and shit like that for like summer. We started doing it when one of my friends got married for like a bachelor thing. And then we were like, this is fucking great. Why don't we just have a dude's weekend away from girlfriends and wives once a year just to have a good time. And then this year we were like, let's fucking do it early because we're all sad and we're all busy. And then and we did it, but we were talking about just like in general, like, why are we so fucking tired? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's just
I think it's something to do with burnout, crashing from 3 years, or more of, like, the worst, badly written script of a planet. Because
totally.
I've been talking to comedians all the time, and offline, they tell me, "Man, I've been dealing with, like, a bone-crushing depression," and I'm like,
Yes.
From outside, your life looks pretty good."
Oh, dude, always from the outside, everybody's life looks good though. Like, and like if you're scrolling through Instagram, people are having a fucking blast. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you meet them and you're like, "Are you all right?" And they're like, "No,
Yeah.
not even
It's
close."
It's really strange, but,
Yeah.
I do think it has a lot to do with the trauma, collective worldwide trauma that we never really processed, and we're
No.
processed in a very bad negative way, arguing about it the whole time.
Oh God, yeah. And the process part is absolutely true, man. Like I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, I still get ridiculously angry over like if I think of growing up and listening. I always, it was crazy, and I don't know when this goes away. I still say when I refer to people older than me as adults, and I know I don't look like it, I don't dress like it, I don't act like it, but I know I'm technically aging out of like the cool realm of whatever. So like, but I'm like, yeah, I'm like, just listening to adults all my life and having them tell me, the way we do things in the world, and if you don't like it, it's tough shit. It's just part of being an adult. It's part of being a man. You got to make sacrifices, patriotism, rah, rah, rah. And then the pandemic hit, and like the simple rule of like, hey, wear masks and get a vaccine. And they lost I was like, this is your chance to be you sacrifice for your country. This is it. This is your time. Step up. Like, this is all the shit I've heard about. All the stuff we didn't want to do, work 9 to 5, fucking school, pay taxes, get up early. All this shit that you said was part of being an adult. And this is the most adult you can be. Millions of people are dying. And they
Right.
fucking broke down gym doors and yelled about being with their families and not at an Applebee's at fucking midnight. Like, so I was like, wow, everybody sucks. Like, it was you gave me an ulcer for nothing at 20. This sucks.
Right, right. Now, you say 38, 'cause I thought you were 35, 36-ish. I wasn't too far off. But
Yeah.
38 is, like, cuspy between with this whole generational thing, Gen X and
Mhm.
millennial. Where are you? You like, on the cusp of millennial, Gen X, or
I'm technically, here's the thing, I'm technically an elder millennial.
that's a
And
good thing.
yeah, but it is a good thing, and I love it. And I think my friends feel this too. We feel closer to Gen X, but I think we're definitely like whenever I look at the timelines that people kind of draw out, I'm an elder millennial. We didn't grow up with cell phones and social media, but we did grow into it. So like we were the advent of it. So we're not like, completely addicted to it or used to it, or it's not how we, I can still call somebody on the phone when I need something, as opposed to like, oh, isn't there an app to
Yeah,
reach grandma now? Do I
yeah.
have to, why do I have to do that?
I'm glad you're not a Gen Xer, though, because lately, I've got a bone to pick with Gen X, and
Yeah.
it's this, and you're not this. it's these guys who think they are from the greatest generation, and they want to talk down like they've been through wars. They had it so tough when they were a kid, you know. And I'm seeing these like phony tough guys, phony old men who don't yet have any wrinkles, but they have some gray in their beard or whatever, talking like, you know, in my day we walked uphill, and like, wait a minute, you're the MTV generation. You're not. You're not the World War. You didn't save the planet from. It's like, and
Right.
they're all over the place. They're all. I'm a boomer. I'm supposed to be like trying to be a greatest generation guy, but I don't have it in me. But I can't imagine people 20 years younger than me,
Yeah,
acting like they were the greatest generation. Hello,
yeah,
you're an Iggy Pop guy.
It's true. It's true. It's all everybody's all mixed up, man. It is kind of really weird. Like you do find some Gen Xers who are like that. Some I know have completely faded into the background, which I kind of find interesting. Like I have some friends of mine who are definitely Gen X, and you could tell that they are kind of like kicking back and watching everything from a distance, from a distance, where they're like, "We told you." You know, like it wasn't gonna be pretty. I'm looking forward to the like TikTok, like the Gen Zers having you know, kids, because I know that they love blaming everyone else, including millennials, for like hardcore blaming for like the state of the world. But I can't wait till their kids are like, so there was a train accident in Ohio with the worst environmental disaster known to man, and you guys fucking danced on TikTok about it, you pieces of shit. Like I can't wait until that's like the you know, the fuck you didn't do anything, you know.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage to say that, you know, these kids don't know, they don't know good music, they take everything for granted, they're all spoiled. It's a rite of passage, but at some point you got to reflect on your own life and say, how bad did I actually have it?
Yeah.
Well,
And none of us are doing anything. I mean, like a couple people are like, you know, who are super wealthy or who are like lifting people up or whatever. And like we try to, I mean, you know, everybody tries to do a little bit here and there, but we're essentially all, you know, that one dad in a minivan you know, in 2012 who drove his family off a cliff because he thought it really was the end of the like that. Like maybe not like, you know, as it, but we are like headed all, you know, that scene in Independence Day where they're all those caravans are heading toward Area 51.
yeah.
That's what I imagine everybody on Earth, and it's all everything, every caravan is named like climate change and fucking, you know, the economy and inflation, and it's just all of us are driving towards the edge. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
So, now how many causes do you get involved in? Because MS is what the cause is for Wednesday night program, Wednesday 9 p.m. to Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern. But I could have sworn you've done one for different causes in the last
Yeah.
year or so.
Yeah, we did originally when and this is the pandemic started. I've always done charity work like through stand up, you know, when we were doing live before the pandemic, we're doing live stuff. So I've done, you know, cancer benefits. I've done you know, different types of benefits for different types of causes and stuff, and I love, it's one of the greatest things I think about having a talent or a skill is that people can find places for you to use it for good, which is very, very nice. You know what I mean? Like anytime, you know, I'm a benefit whore to a certain extent. If I feel like if there's some way I can help by being, you know, me or putting stuff together, that's great because I don't have any other skills. You know what I mean? I don't have money, so it's not like I can be like, oh, hey, let me write you $1 million check. You know, to fund your research. But if my skills that I do have help in any way, it's great. So we did one during the pandemic, and it was broke a Guinness World Record for the longest streaming like comedy stream for a benefit show or whatever, and it was for the Children's Brain Tumor Foundation and for I think it's called, oh my god, I'm blanking on the fucking name. It's called Star Treatments, and it's where they take kids with cancer to and from their treatment centers like a rock star. So they they fill a bus with like candy and movies and all that other stuff, and they put the little kids in the thing and they drive them to and from it. It's fucking awesome. So we did that. We had over 300 comedians. on for 93 hours. That was the first live stream thing. And then last year we did an MS benefit in March. It was at the end of March. And then this year we're doing the same thing. And I had a friend, pass away with MS. I didn't really realize this until a few years ago, but you don't actually pass away from it. A lot of people
Right.
think, but I mean, it when you have MS, you know how it is. It's an autoimmune disease. It
Right.
doesn't. It
It's
makes
kind of like Alzheimer's. You don't die from the disease. You die from what the disease does to the rest of your body.
absolutely, which is interesting. Yeah, which is interesting because the all the COVID stuff has actually helped, like COVID research has actually helped move along the MS research, because COVID is also is basically an autoimmune disease. So it's kind of, all the vaccine stuff has kind of helped move along the MS stuff. But so yeah, and Tom Bannis's wife, who sometimes co-hosts Dystopia, is dealing with MS right now. And
Wow.
I know comedians who have MS, and it's kind of one of those diseases that, like, a lot, you might have a friend who has it, you have no fucking idea, because people are either super private about it and the symptoms aren't always, right on the surface. It's one of those things that you can look, completely and totally fine and have it, but you have a flare up and you're fucking done for a week, you know what I mean? Or however long it takes to subdue it. So
It's a super mystery, because I have seen people in all aspects of the disease, to where they look like they might not make it another week, to people who are going out and playing pickleball.
yeah.
93 hours. Do you stay up for that whole time?
I did not stay up for the 93-hour one the whole time, but I did. I mean, I stayed up for a day and a half, I think, straight. Like, I maybe got like an hour sleep. I was sleeping intermittently and coming back on, and we had a bunch of people host that. For this one, we're doing 24 hours, same as we did last year. And I do stay up for the whole thing.
I do think I could make, because I've done 24 hours live stream,
Yeah,
40, but it takes a toll on you. You can't keep doing it. But every time you do that, I think you lose a certain degree of your cognitive ability. And so I realized I hadn't done it in many years. And then when I did it at 62, 63 years old, whatever. And I was like, wow, I'm not a kid anymore. I can't afford to waste these brain cells. I need to hold on to the few I have.
yeah.
So I would not suggest doing it deep into your 40s.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I feel like this is a mistake. I I don't
Yeah.
have last year I did it, and I was like, oh shit, I cannot hang. Like, this is really hit me hard, and I stayed up, and it was fine. Like, whatever, I stayed up through the whole thing. But I didn't realize last year I did it. I had COVID, and it was the first time I'd gotten it. So 2 years went by, didn't get COVID, and then I'd done a gig, and it got me. And it was when we were like just going back out to do stuff, and I didn't know that I had it though, and I probably wouldn't have had symptoms or shown if I hadn't depleted like everything staying up. And by the way, you stay up for over 24 hours, because I still have to function during the day. I didn't
Yeah.
sleep until I had to get up and do the event. So I was up like 30 plus hours
Yeah.
and did the live event. And man, I was out of my mind, fucking in pain. Like, my face hurt, like,
Yeah.
but I to me, I didn't know I had COVID. So I just thought, like, man, I am fucking old now and cannot step. fingers crossed, man, that it's not as bad as it is this year, because I have no reason to have gotten knock on wood, I haven't had any COVID issues or anything like that again since. So we'll see what happens. But by the way, you are more than welcome. I will send you the schedule if you're available to hang out at any hour.
I'll tell you what, just saying hello to Rob Bartlett would be the highlight of my life.
Let's have you and Rob on, man. Rob is, Rob is my anytime hero. So Rob is one of my anytime heroes. I have a couple anytime heroes for the show. But Rob, I know, is coming on definitely at 2 a.m. East Coast Standard Time, because Rob like will pop in and out. He'll get some sleep. He'll pop back in. Sometimes he'll show up shirtless. I don't know what Rob's gonna do. And you can't show nipples on Twitch. So it's classy, guys.
Oh,
But Yeah, but Rob comes on at like random times. I'll make sure I know when Rob is popping in or whatever. But you'll
Yeah,
have the link, so you'll be
yeah,
able to pop in whenever you want.
cool. Now, do you know Rob just from your time working in comedy, or were you? Because it doesn't seem at 38 you could possibly know the magnitude of Rob Bartlett's impact on the New York metro area or in radio
Mm.
through the Imus show. Were you aware of that period of his life?
Yeah, so I was aware of. I mean, here's the thing. Such a comedy nerd that like I absorb all of it. So I knew of Rob way before I met him. And I knew he did the impressions and stuff like that on Imus. I wasn't an Imus like huge watcher, but I respected the guy. I mean, he's a broadcast, one of like the broadcast legends, and he always had that feud with Stern and stuff. So like it was something that I knew about. But I knew Rob from like comedy stuff, like anything with Eddie Murphy and all those guys. Like he was in an improv troupe with Eddie Murphy and oh, I'm blanking on the fucking oh, he's gonna kill me. I love this dude. Anyway, I'll think about it in a second. It's blanking. It's too early for me, by the way. But
Yeah, I know it is. I
but
already made that apology for you. This is 4 a.m. for you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, but Rob and Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. So I knew him like legendarily from like comedy stuff, like his work at the comedy scene and the circuits and stuff. And then I met him actually for the first time during the 93-hour stream, and he
Wow.
came on to do it. And I didn't like we didn't have time to like introduce ourselves to each other, but we became like fans of each other because Rob would pop in randomly. Everybody knew him, like intimately, basically, like all the older comics that I'm friends with knew him. And then, but he messaged me privately and he was like, "You're fucking hysterical. Like, I'm your friend now." And I was like,
Wow.
fine by me. So
Yeah.
we talk a lot, and he's come on the show like probably more than any other guest, and he's always there for the charity thing. I love him. He's the best.
Wow. Have you ever gotten a chance to talk to him about the Imus years and all that kind of stuff? Or no,
Yep.
yeah. Because to me, I know Imus got had his shit going on with the nappy headed stuff and all
Yeah.
that. I don't think, and it's hard to know what's in somebody's heart, but following the guy, to me, he was always super influential. Because it came up recently in my own therapy here that people have been, you know, uh, comparing me to call me a Stern wannabe for 40 years now. And what I really wanted was the thing that Imus created. Not I didn't want to be Don Imus, but I wanted what he created for NBC Radio, and part of that was finding a really super talented guy like Rob Bartlett to be the comedy engine of that show. And so I'm in awe of that man's talent.
Yeah.
I always have been from the days of the Black Beatles to all the musical stuff he did for Imus, to
Yeah.
everything he did, man. And that's how I got to know him. I saw him in clubs years later, but I became a fan of his. So he's like he's one of my comedy heroes, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. No, dude, I hear you, man. We should all be. So yeah, please come on with Rob. Have you ever met him? You met him, right?
No,
No?
no,
Oh, okay. Well then absolutely, man. I'll make
yeah.
sure you're on with Rob. That's great. Um there's a I mean, it's so funny that they say that you've been everybody's a knockoff, not a knockoff, but like people compare other people to like, "Oh, you're trying to do this." And it's like, "Yeah." Am I trying to be as successful as an idol of mine? Absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
like it's such a ridiculous statement that people throw at you. And it's funny, it's always from people who are not doing a goddamn thing. Like,
right.
like they're not doing anything with their lives. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, man. It's a crazy time. Could you imagine though, like back then, like how tame the nappy headed hoe thing was? Like a shitty thing to say, but like you were just talking about Scott Adams and what a piece of shit he
Oh
turned out
my
to be.
God.
Like, and just I mean, I first of all, that dude blocked me on Twitter like years ago, like during the Trump administration, because I just kept. So he was doing his whole like playing. Supposedly, he thinks he's so smart is the problem,
I
and he
know.
also thinks. I mean, he ascribes to God, I can't think of what it's called. you know, basically like the art of persuasion to a certain
Oh yeah.
extent. But he really thinks he can convince anybody of anything, except he can't convince the world he's not a fucking racist, which is hilarious. But you know, he thinks he can do that kind of shit. Um, and so he was tweeting during the Trump era, like what a genius Trump is, but he's trying to play devil's advocate, like I'm not saying I'm a fan, blah blah blah. And I would go through his old books, not the comic strips, but he used to write the Dilbert Future and all that shit, and like I was taking little screenshots and excerpts of shit he said about people like him, like behaving like how he's behaving, and he fucking blocked me. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's the greatest, you know, badge of honor there. But yeah, he's a nut job.
Yeah, and he finds like one black person to agree with him, and that somehow proves to the world that he's not the racist because you didn't listen to the context. And then
Yeah.
I came back to him. Well, you're claiming you see all these videos of black people just randomly beating up white people. Did you ever check on the context of that? Could it be the white guy just yelled ethnic slur he shouldn't have yelled, and
Yeah.
you see him getting? You don't check the context of that, but we're supposed to, and there's no context that justifies black people are beating up white people all over the place, so you need to escape. There's no fixing this. Like, what? There's no context in the world that makes that not a racist
Right,
statement.
right, exactly. And the craziest thing to me is like the inability to go like, well, what is, you know, how many, I guarantee you, whatever videos he thinks he's watching, there's 500,000 times more of the example of police beating the shit out of black people. You know what I mean? Or like,
Or Howard Beach, and here's the thing that because that statement, I said, well, I don't see these videos of black people beating up white people
no,
randomly.
I
I
don't either.
see a lot of cops beating up black kids a lot and all that stuff, and you never get the full context on that too. And I agree, all of these things should be, you need to know more about it before you go comment on it. But I did grow up in a fairly integrated 40% black in my first high school, 60% white, and then my second high school was 98% black and
Mm,
2% white. I walked through black neighborhoods to get home in the middle of the night, and all the time, never once got beat up for being white in a black neighborhood. But
yeah,
I know plenty of black dudes that got beat up for being black in a white neighborhood. And Howard Beach, New York, was known for no black people allowed in this white neighborhood. So there's a, and I'm not saying that white people are not okay. I'm just saying you got to look at the full context of where you're going, because if the algorithm knows you're you're getting angry at white people getting beat up by a black kid
right.
on a video, they're just going to keep showing you more of those videos. But at some point, you have to say, why are they showing this to me? Because they figured out what you are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, exactly. And the other thing is too is like, you know, I mean, I've traveled all over the place and stuff, and I've never in my life like been in like a black area and felt like, oh man, I'm fucked because of
Right.
whatever. I have, however, walked into you know, been in the South and walked into a convenience store or been on the road or whatever and done that and seen some like methed out looking white piece of shit and been like, okay, yeah, this is how I'm gonna get stabbed or what, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
like, and way more than I've ever been in New York or been in a black neighborhood or anything like that. So I don't understand like what anyway. And also, you know, the funny thing is too is when he's like, I see these videos, you know, he's on very, very specific Facebook groups that are like, you know, white light, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you
he's
have to
asking for, show me the black kids beating up white people so I can get angry videos.
totally, totally. And I've
That's the
seen
name of
those.
the group.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I've seen those, like, you know, I mean, I have relatives. I've seen those email chains that they're all in, you know, like the whatever, where they're like, oh, you know, they say that, you know, white people are blah, blah, blah. But have you seen this video? And you're like, where's that from?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what are you talking about? Yeah, it's insane, dude. He's something happened to him years ago. And I don't know if his wife left or whatever the deal was, but as soon as like I think he was seeing somebody and he got like, well, I don't know. I don't know what it was, dude, but she fucked him up And not to. I mean, I think he was like already a little like that, and then
Yeah.
immediately it started with like because there was a period of time where Scott Adams would be interviewed doing something or he'd write something and it was like clearly incel women bashing shit. So it went from that to Trump's not that bad to whatever it is that he's just a lunatic. I'm glad he like you know I'm glad he lost his shit. I don't.
But I'm curious because he's a cartoonist in a newspaper. Do you have a newspaper subscription?
No,
Do you know anybody who does? I
no, not anymore.
I can't remember the last time I bought a newspaper. I certainly can't remember the last time I had a subscription for a newspaper. This guy is just drawing silly, really bad drawn cartoons for a product that nobody is buying anymore,
Yeah.
and somehow he's wealthy. That
Oh,
puzzles me.
well, I mean, yeah, he's wealthy because when I was a kid, and I mean, when I was in like intermediate to high school, comic strips were still a thing. Like we still got morning newspapers back then, and that wasn't that long ago. That was like 2000 and whatever. So like, you could still back then I think you could still make a decent amount if you were syndicated in newspapers. I mean, and the
Yeah,
comic strips, and
I
plus
can
they put
see
them
that,
online.
but I can't see it lasting you your whole lifetime till because
His is
even
one of the most
millionaires.
popular.
Yeah.
Like so it's like I mean Garfield is basically what Jim Davis I think and Charles Schultz are two of the richest. Like that's cartoonist money that like nobody can touch, and it's one of those things, the same thing with comedians where like everybody if they think you've got a blue check mark or you're with somebody and somebody that you're famous or rich, right? And like I've talked to cartoonists before too because I used to want to be like a serious cartoonist when I was younger. And basically they all think the same thing. Like I had Steve Breen on Dystopia Tonight, who is he's a great political cartoonist who lives in San Francisco now, but he actually started out, he lived in New Jersey, and he was working for the Asbury Park Press for a long time, and he had a comic strip called Grand Avenue, and that was kind of syndicated. But it's one of those things where like he said the same thing. Everybody thinks they've got Charles Schultz money, and he's like, that's insane. Like no one's as famous as that. But that's their model. Or
Right.
like even Bill Watterson and Gary Larson, who were like left in 1995, they still make money with books and stuff like that because they were really popular. But Dilbert was like revolutionary at the time. It was an office comic strip, and it went like it's went back when the day when people used to cut shit out and hang stuff on their cubicle walls.
Right.
It was their comfort zone. So he made, I mean, he admitted back in the day he couldn't draw. And he was like, I really loved cartooning a cartoonist, but I can't draw. But I found that was like still like if you wrote well and drew okay, it'd be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen to the kids today. Don't do anything important in school.
Yeah.
Um, just doodle.
That's what I did.
Now, here's the thing, and I didn't want to make this the whole, but I am a little bit on fire because I watched 2 hours of him with Hotep Jesus.
I didn't see that. I can't believe it.
I did because he insisted that I was misunderstanding him, and I wanted to give him a chance. Let me hear what I'm
Yeah,
misunderstanding.
yeah.
They're blaming everything, racial division in this country, on the teachers' unions, and I'm like, well, first of all, if the teachers union is that powerful, how come teachers fucking are starving?
Yeah.
Uh, they come back with this is the answer I got from Hotep Jesus. The fact that our students are doing so well means doing so poorly means our teachers are overpaid.
Oh God, no. Absolutely not.
Right.
That is the most ass backwards fucking statement I've ever heard about
These are the
teachers.
people of parental responsibility and all this stuff. Where are the parents for making responsibility for making their students prepared and wanting to go to school to learn? It's not on the teacher. You try to teach 30 kids who are not interested, who have poor skills and poor attitudes, 30 of them at once. The whole thing about blaming teachers, I was like, you got to be kidding me. These are people who are, they stand on line to picket for $1 an hour raise over 30 years and they don't get it. And yet
Yeah.
You're blaming them for society's problems. It's mind-boggling.
It's
Like
always people who don't have, like, Scott Adams doesn't have any fucking kids though. I don't know about, whatever the hell the other guy's name is, Hotep something something.
Hotep Jesus.
Hotep Jesus. You know what's crazy? It's so early. I thought I made up the Jesus part in my head, and I was like, where did that come from? This can't possibly be somebody's name.
Me
and
too.
here we are.
When
Yeah.
I saw him, I was like,
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. But yeah, so like that's the thing. But it's that same. I don't know if you've seen the rumor going around, because everybody's got a fucking issue with trans people, but they were talking like, there's this rumor going around, and I've seen it everywhere. Every idiot parent, every people who's like against that kind of woke shit or whatever, but they're like, oh, with all the trans stuff they're teaching in schools now, did you hear that one school and they literally have named different schools for this one thing. They're like, has a kid who's claiming to be a cat in kindergarten, and now they have to put a litter box in the classroom. I'm like, and I'm like, just could you play back what you just fucking said out loud, and like do you honestly think that's real? But people do. And I have to be like, no, it's actually been proven to be a hoax. And they're like, oh, I wasn't sure. And I'm like, so you shared it anyway, you fucking idiot.
yeah,
So it's that level of stupidity. It's like they don't have kids in school and they think that everybody's I mean, even Bill Maher to a certain extent is a bit of a nut job. Like, COVID broke Bill Maher the same way 9/11 broke Dennis Miller to a certain extent, right?
yeah.
Like, I listen to Maher talk, and it's funny too if you watch his
That's a fucking great observation, though. The
Thank you.
COVID broke Mar the way 9/11. Yeah, Dennis Miller, he totally changed him.
Totally. Yeah, he used to be hip and smart and with it and all that. I'm not saying he's not smart, but like he used to be the guy, and then something happened in the world and he kind of snapped. I've begrudgingly tried to make it through Maher's podcast because I was a fan of Bill Maher for a long time, and I still feel like he's necessary to a certain extent. And he's he's a good comic and all that, but like I've seen some of the guests that he's had on, and when Maher starts to get on his like anti-vax, anti-mask shit, you can tell they're just like, oh God, shut the fuck up. Like even Richard Dawkins was on, and he was trying to explain to Bill what the vaccines are doing and what they've actually said, and Bill just interrupts his guests, and he's just he thinks he's so wise, and I could just tell Richard Dawkins is like, fuck it, it's not worth it. Like, it's a bummer.
I'm responsible for the worst 5 hours of his life, and I'm proud of it.
Really? Oh, please tell me, what is it? I don't even
Just
know.
a red eye back from LA to New York in first class, and I happened to have the first class seat right next to his, and he wanted to sleep, and I wanted to talk to him about shit he said on his show, and I would not let him sleep, and he asked the stewardess if she could change. Well, I guess they don't call him flight attendant.
Yeah.
If he could change his seat, and she said no, there's nothing else available.
Wait, what year was this?
1997, 96, something like that.
Amazing. Amazing.
Well, I kept him up for 5 hours, torturing him with arguments that he did not want to hear.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, that's so great. That makes me happy.
When he got off, he told me, go fuck yourself. As we got off the plane, he said, go fuck yourself. And he was walking as quickly as he could to baggage claim.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That is great. I'm going to be scouring the internet for talk show appearances by him from 96, 97 and see if he says anything. Some mustachioed man on a plane.
Yeah. So, with the MS thing that you got going on now, Rock Royalty is. I love your posters, by the way.
Thank you.
Do you hire some, or you do your posters?
I don't hire anybody. Sometimes I do them. So, right now, Jess Agee is currently who I'm working with. She's doing a bunch of work on Dystopia Tonight, but she's also my new manager. And I've a lot of changes happened in the last month or so. So I'm working exclusively with her, Green Olive Creative, and she's put together the graphics and stuff for this show. So I'm like really happy.
These musical people that you're having on, we've talked about your varied music tastes.
Yes.
Before, but man, this list of who's that you have of Rock Royalty that's going to be on the show really shows like a 70-year span of really, everybody from Peter Asher, because Peter Asher's name pops out on me.
Yeah.
Graham Parker, these people, to Ty Bachman and all these very cool people. Stephen Page is the one that I am most, because there's a lot of great names on it, but the
Thank
one
you.
I am mostly curious about. When you talk to him, I know you've had him on Dystopia Tonight.
Yeah.
Was he uh fine with talking about Bare Naked Ladies, or he just wants to talk about his new solo career?
No, he was cool with talking about Bare Naked Ladies and he's very proud of the work he's done with Bare Naked Ladies and stuff. And he talked about the Canadian Hall of Fame and regrouping with those guys, but he was also very candid and honest about like, he did not feel any particular love loss that like he's like, I'm open to do whatever. It was a blast seeing everybody again, during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. But he said from his side of it, he felt like there was no immediate love loss. And I feel like there's probably still some tension there between Ed maybe and him and whatever.
That sucks.
It does suck. He seems to be in a very good place though. Like he's great. And I got to go see him open for the Who after he did Dystopia Tonight. So that was phenomenal. And he's crushing it. Like he's and he's totally also very open and honest about like, maybe his attitude in the past and, any kind of ego stuff that he had, he seemed to let go of.
Ego.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't think he, because I wanted to relate this story to you, and maybe in the hopes that you could kind of have it in the back of your mind for when you're talking to him.
yeah.
In 1997, not too long after I made Bill Maher's life miserable, we were I was an executive for the Optimum Online brand, and we were really trying to push cable modems on people and
Yeah.
a reason to have it. And we decided we were going to do one of the first live streaming concerts, sponsored by Madison Square Garden, with not an audience, but just the band performing and then some Q&A online. In 1997, bandwidth is what it is.
Sure.
And the band we chose was Bare Naked Ladies, and I had never heard of them before. 1997, I was in my 30s, and I wasn't hip to them. They came on and they killed and they crushed it and made me a huge fan. And then in the Q&A, it was Stephen Page was taking most of the questions, and one of the questions was, "What do you attribute your long-term success to?" Right away, my mind said, long-term success. I never heard of these guys before.
Right.
And Stephen started talking about strong voices. Strong voices were the key to success. And I was like, and then I looked them up, and they've been around for 10 years, successful for 10 years. I was like, wow, how did I not know about this? But he was going on talking about strong voices, and I was trying to decipher if he meant that they were good singers or that doing it night after night, you need to recover and be able to do the right things. But I've been talking to singers about that statement, because it does sound like a little bit ego. What do you attribute we're all really strong, powerful voices? And I was like, wow, that does sound like ego. But now the more I talk to singers and vocal teachers, vocal coaches, and they talk about the true meaning of what he was saying in that statement. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. This is how much it impacted me, because I was thinking, well, who is this guy to say that? And then I started looking at his work, and my God, power.
Yeah.
Power.
And he sounds great. I mean, I think I know exactly what he meant too. Yeah, he sounds great. And I do the same thing whenever I have musicians on, because I'm curious about how they take care of him. Because I saw the Who. When you see Roger Daltrey and you see him like belt it out, and I'm like, God damn, like how the hell does that guy still have like the same voice? He still sounds great. I know he had some trouble and went through some surgery, and then he wound up getting it back. He did a lot of work to get it back. But you see guys in their like 70s, 80s, same fucking voice for like ever. And then you see guys like younger than that who like they let it slip and they're not that great. Like look at Ronnie Dio, man. Like that guy like held on to his like, I mean, he had such a powerful voice and he held on to it for, I mean, obviously he died young, younger than the rest of them, but he even to the end, man, he had this amazing powerful voice, but he took care of it. And other, I think, singers of that kind of ilk, will say the same thing. Like I was just out there belting it out, didn't take the proper care, and didn't have the vocal range anymore.
Right. So hearing Stephen Page said, now that was 1997. It's been 26 years. There isn't a conversation I have with a singer that I'm just meeting for the first time where I don't ask, do you warm up? Do you do vocal? Because so many people in rock and roll, especially, don't. They just go out and belt out, and they don't think about taking care of their voice. They don't do the proper warm ups and all those kind of stuff. And if that's questions still come back to every conversation I have with a power singer. Like, do you take care of your voice? Most of them don't.
Yeah, I'll
So,
ask him. I'll absolutely ask him. If it still holds true today and stuff.
yeah, he's
So that hour in particular, by the way, is I'm like fucking like I'm happy everybody's come. All the guests that I have coming on, I'm excited for. But there's a couple hits toward like the end, which is crazy that the end of the stream, like I'm gonna be so fucking tired. I hope I recognize that they're on. Like, but I'm like, the end of that stream, the last few hours. So like for the Rock Royalty Hour, that's 1 p.m. The 2nd of March and the Eastern Standard Time. So 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Glenn Phillips from Toad the Wet Sprocket, lead singer of Toad the Wet Sprocket, Scott Hessel from the Gin Blossoms, Stephen Page, former lead singer of Bare Naked Ladies. We have Tal Bachman, who's Randy Bachman's son, but also Tal Bachman had hits in the 90s and stuff like that as well. And we have a fifth one who is escaping me at the moment. My God. Who the hell else is on that hour?
Jimmy Casale.
No. Another 90s. Oh my God, I'm totally blanking. This is horrible. Glenn Phillips, Scott Hessel, Stephen Page, Tal Bachman, and here we go. God damn. Fucking here we go. Ken Block from Sister Hazel.
Wow.
Yeah. And they all know the thing about that too is I've had them all on the show, but they all know each other. So it's just going to be a blast. And I don't know when the last time anybody saw anybody was. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then we have another hour with voiceover actors. We got Charles Fleischer, voice of Roger Rabbit, Billy West from Futurama, Space Jam, Megan Cavanaugh, and Mark DiCarlo, both from Jimmy Neutron. Megan Cavanaugh is also from League of Their Own. And they're just they all know each other. They're gonna have a fucking blast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's
good. Yeah, good mix.
And we also have videos from Lewis Black and Rita Rudner and Robert Klein because they're on tour, so they couldn't make it. But they sent in videos to help, plug the thing and promote it.
I wanted to reach out to Robert Klein last week because it was his birthday, and I've been trying to get him on the show. He told me he wasn't feeling well, and I was like, it might seem like I'm still trying to get still bugging him to be on the show, but I did want to just reach out and say I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Because he means a lot to me. For some reason, he's part of my history of comedy, and the guy, I don't have to tell you, he's done it all. Broadway, television, movies, stand up, all of it. So he's just like legendary to me, and I just don't want to lose him.
Dude, I mean, I spoke to him last weekend. I was in Virginia, and he called me when I was in the hotel, and I spoke to him because we've been missing each other's phone calls, and he just had a grandbaby.
Wow.
81 years old, his first grandbaby.
Wow.
So
I had my first grandchild at 39.
Oh, wow.
Almost your age, like a year older. Can you imagine having grandchildren?
You said that, and I tried not to look like I just relieved I was like, oh, cool. That seems great.
It was weird for me because I was working at Cablevision at the time for the Optimum brand, and the people that work with me like, you're a grandfather? You mean father? No, I mean grandfather.
Did you like being called grandpa back then? Like, did it feel weird?
Call me Opa.
Oh, okay. That's a yeah.
Yeah. But no, it definitely felt weird. It was like nobody's supposed to be at this point in their life,
right,
in their 30s. I still felt like I was a kid. And coming back to what you were saying before, adulting, I've been hosting this food show. Not that because I'm the worst food guy, but I've been saying on the food show, I eat like a child. I'm not a grown up. I'm never gonna be a grown up. I'm the wrong person for this. And the head of the studio, keeps saying, "No, we love you. You're perfect for this." It's like because I can eat. I don't know grown up food. I don't even know which is the right fork to eat with. I don't know about salad forks.
Me neither. Yeah, totally uncultured, man. I get
Yeah.
it. I don't do any of that shit either.
Growing up is not a good thing for me. It's not an easy thing. Anyway, if there's anything we can do other than, and we will be donating, but I'm
Thank
going to
you.
put in the link here to where people can donate.
Oh yeah, please. Thank you.
It's in the description. I went and put it in the banner. It's mssocietydonordrive.com
Yes.
is where you're going to go, and you'll find John's video there where he's doing.
Or you can just go to I think the short link of that is bit.ly/dystopia all night.
Right. Or go to John's Facebook page and you'll see it's there. There's a link to it right there.
Yeah, it's good. We got a great assortment of guests and people donating their time and stuff, and comedians people have never heard of and comedians people have heard of, and people are, and you know how those things are, man. People are going to be popping on. Your buddy Paul Provenza is going to be popping on. Bobby Slayton's going to be popping on.
Well, Paul is going to be one of those people, and you probably know this already. He's going to have like bandwidth issues. He's going to be freezing up, and
I know. And then he's going to be cursing about StreamYard. I fucking hate StreamYard and blah blah blah. But yeah, he's already shared the thing.
He does Zoom fine, and it's just a wit. So yeah, and I we fully support that, and we'll be checking it out. My buddy Carl's here from UK today, and
nice.
I'll be watching it with him getting drunk. And
excellent, man, excellent. Yeah,
I don't get drunk, but when I hang out with my friends who are alcoholics, I have to at least.
Oh, of course, yeah. You got to get it in.
Make an effort, like.
And please, I'll send you the link and stuff, man. Let me know what time you want to like pop in and shoot the shit. And I'll have you come on with Rob Bartlett as well.
Oh, that very cool. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. No problem.
Thanks for getting up early.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
All right, see you later.
Bye. See you later.
Bye. John Pavaramo. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m. to Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time zone. Challenge people. If you're on the West Coast, 3 hours early, 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's all I can say. And then figure it out in between. That's the show for today. I do have a lot to do. I got to get to the studio. We are making some adjustments here today. We are hiring some new people, getting some new video editors, filmmakers in, script writers, and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a busy day over at the studio. And then I don't have a show tonight, which is a good thing. Carl will be in town tonight. I'm not sure if I'm going to be running into Manhattan late this afternoon to hang out with Carl, or if I'm going to wait till tomorrow. Got to figure that out. But I do appreciate everybody stopping by today. We have a busy week. Jackie will be with me on Friday. Jackie Martling. His show is on Saturday at the Suffolk Theater. You should check that out. Otherwise, thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to turn on your radio, and bye for now.
I to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me.